push on the lower back and then spin him down there for the takedown. I'm not going to throw this young man all the way on the ground. You can see, just clothesline him and take him right down. You can do that on a 1, breaking out on the 1 and then in. You can do it on the 2, opening up and clotheslining him from here and keeping the arm out, so it's a trip and a clothesline. 3 will give you the hit, and it's just like 1. And then 4, you can open up and clothesline him here and get behind him and trip down that way. You can also throw chokes in this. After you break out, if I go to punyo and he blocks, I can trap the arm down and then come up to the throat, and there's my choke here. I have an X choke, which is going to go down for a neck break. As you can see, the back portion here in the front, you have the X here. I can also go in a nutcracker. What I'm doing here is squeezing in on that way for the choke. Again, this is a finishing move. A lot of times you use chokes to prevent the guy from locking up your arm. If, say, I hit the hand and he drops it and I get a disarm and he still charges me, that's a good time to work on the choke, because that outbalances him. If you're struggling over control of this weapon, you don't want him to take it away from you. He's going to beat you over the head with it. So if you can go and trap that and now get into the choke from here, you have a lot more control over the guy. A floor choke you can do off the takedown, if you could stand right out here, please, is you have this yoke, you've brought him to the ground, and now you bring your left hand into the stick here and lever that way. And there's your choke. And if you could see without the body there, I'm bringing my hand, my forearm right into my stick and bending into the stick for leverage, and that's against the neck if you do need to choke someone out. And that's your next category of X factor. Okay, final category is disarm. Disarm you're not going to use unless you really knock the guy out and you need his weapon. You're not going to use this in the beginning of the fight. But if I do whack, really mess the guy up to the point where he's really out of it, I'll grab the guy in an inside wrist lock and bring this down here and strip the weapon out. And now I can take it and hit the guy with double stick. So what I did was, any of your strikes you did, you can go from backhand on the single, you can go on thrust, you can go on punyo, wherever you end up, get into a position where your hand is either on inside wrist lock on this side or off the top inside wrist lock on that side, and you simply roll through it. And depending on if you're top or bottom, it will give you a reverse or a forward grip on the stick. If I came in here breaking out, I'll grab his hand, just a simple, just grab over the top. You've already hammered the guy. He's a little bit out of it. Pick this up and run that way with it. When you do, take it into this hand, and you can get your hits. If you're on the other side of the body, if you come in here against a backhand, you dump the guy, and he's a little bit out of it. Roll this up and take this out of the grip that way. It's a simple enough disarm you can do with gloves on, so it's a nice one to start people off with. But remember, I'm not fond of doing disarms when the guy is still in his right mind. He's still awake. You also don't want to do disarms where your instinct is to grab the stick. This works okay if it's a stick. If it's a sword, you can have your hand opened up. So while the snatch is easy to do, it's not a good instinct to get into on the street. You also don't want to do the snake in the street. If the guy's a sword and you're doing this instinctively, you're going to have your armpit and you'll break your artery cut, which is not a good thing. So you want to get into the habit of grabbing the hand and then assessing what type of weapon this is before you do a disarm. And you only do the disarm, once you've really rattled the guy to the point where, he's lost all IQ altogether, and then you're just getting this out of the way, so you don't want a weapon laying on the street where a buddy could pick it up of his. All right? And that's your last X factor, is your disarms.